Welcome to Chapter 1 of the Word section of Microsoft Office 2013 Introductory. This is the first chapter in the Word portion, and we are starting on page WD4. The first thing we will do is we are going to open up our Word program. So we are going to slide down to the bottom left of our screen. Click on the Microsoft emblem in the bottom left hand corner of your status bar. Click one time, and in the Search Programs and Files box we will type Word, W-O-R-D. And at the top of the list, the very first thing in the Programs section at the top of the list is Word 2013. Click on that to open up the program Word. Tap or click the blank document thumbnail that is to the right of the navigation bar. Notice that on the left hand side the navigation bar has Word and then Recent. The Recent will show you everything that has been opened most recently. All the way down to the bottom of that has Open Other Documents. In the section to the right of that it says Blank Document. Click on that. From that screen you want to check in the top right hand corner and make sure that your document is maximized so that you can see everything. Then on page WD5, the first thing we want to do is save this assignment. You always want to save first because you never know when a computer may shut down randomly, and you always want to make sure that you have the file named so you can recover whatever work you have done. So you're going to go to the left hand side of your menu and click on the word File. Slide down to the word Save, and since this is the first time we have saved this, then you can click on Save. If you were to change the name of the file, you would choose Save As, or if you wanted to change the location of the file, Save As. But for the first time all you have to do is hit Save and then click on where you want to save. You need to navigate to wherever you are saving all of the work for this class. And it is always smart to go ahead and create a file just for your Word work. And I've made a folder named Word. From there you're going to save this as. You always want to name all your documents with your last name first. So for me that's Smith. So whatever your last name is and your first initial with a capital, that way it's easier for me to read, underscore, and the name of whatever we're supposed to save this as. Now the book does not tell you to save it yet. It's just wise to do so. So I've already flipped through to see what we're supposed to save it as, and the book has us saving this as Adventure Flyer. So we will type Adventure Flyer in the file name box. Then click on Save, that is in the bottom right hand corner. You know you've saved this correctly if you have your last name, first initial, underscore, Adventure Flyer, dash Word in the title bar. The title bar is at the very top of the page. Now inside of the page you'll see a flashing bar. That is where your text will be when you type. The first thing that we are supposed to type is the word adventure with an exclamation point. Then turn the page, and on page WD6 we press the enter key, and at the bottom of the page it has us displaying our formatting marks. This is something that I leave on all the time. It makes it a whole lot easier to see where your problems are, if there's strange things going on with your document. So our formatting marks, you will click on your Home tab, and then in your tab you see several banks. The first bank of icons is the clipboard bank. The second bank is font. The third bank is paragraph. In the paragraph bank, you have the Show Hide button. It looks like a backwards P. You will click on the Show Hide button, and that will show all the hidden characters in a document. These characters don't print out, but they help you to see what is going on in your document. Right now you will see the word adventure and 2 of the Show Hide characters. That is what I call a backwards P, because that's what it looks like to me. And that means that that's a return. So we have the return that we put in after adventure, and then the return that the computer starts with at the very beginning. Now, the blinking bar is our cursor, and that is whatever we type will show up wherever that cursor is. On page 7, it says to insert a blank line. We want to press the enter key, and that will insert a blank line. Then at the bottom of page WD7, to zoom to page width, click on the view on the ribbon to display the view tab. Then you want to tap or click the page width button. So the page width button, again, in each tab you'll have several banks of icons. It keeps them grouped together. So the first bank is the Views bank. The second bank is the Show bank. Third bank is the Zoom bank. And since Zoom is what we are working with, that is where we want to stop. And we want to choose the page width button. The page width button is the last one on the right side of that bank. So click on page width, and notice that the document zooms out to as wide as it can go to see the entire width of the page. You have a small amount of margins on either side. Now on page 9, number 1, to word wrap text as you type. Word wrap is a default of Microsoft Office. The reason why you want to word wrap, if you hit enter at the end of every line, then if you change the font, if you change the width, if you change the margins, if you change anything, you're going to have a big mess. So if you word wrap, then the computer will automatically wrap your words wherever they need to wrap. You don't have to hit enter at the end of every line. You only need to hit enter if you want to force a new paragraph or something else like that. So as long as you're in the same paragraph, let the text wrap all by itself. Then on number 1 of WD9, it says type the first sentence of the body copy. So what you will type is explore scenic trails with breathtaking views as you travel through meadows, comma space forests, comma space streams, comma space and mountains, in and off, dash road, vehicle. And then you always want to check to make sure that you haven't made any mistakes. Microsoft Office is very good about showing potential mistakes. You'll have squiggly lines under your text if you've misspelled or left out commas, or if there's some kind of grammar thing that might be wrong. Now, it's not always correct, but it marks what it thinks might be wrong. And of course, you always want to save and save often. That is my motto. So for a quick save, you can slide up. You notice that you have all your tabs of your ribbons. Okay, above that is called your quick start menu, and the very first thing you have is the W icon. But to the right of that is your quick save, and it looks like a small disk. So you click on save. If you want to use your shortcuts on your computer, the control key and the S key is a quick way to save. And honestly, I hit control S often. Every time I do something difficult, I just hit control S. It's very quick and it doesn't interrupt, and it's always safe to save. Now on page 10, to check spelling and grammar as you type. Number 1, we want to hit enter one time, and that is going to put our cursor down below that first paragraph that we just typed. And then we're going to type self-guided tours, but intentionally misspell tours. So we're going to spell it T-U-O-R-S. And then when you press the space bar, you'll see the squiggly line that I was talking about earlier. Now, you want to right click that squiggly line. And when you do that, you'll get a drop down menu of several different words that the computer thinks are possible solutions to what you've written. And you want to click on the very first one, T-O-U-R-S, tours. On page 11, it says to enter more text. Number 1, press the end key. So we'll hit our end key, and then we're going, what that does is that if your cursor was somewhere within the sentence, it makes your cursor go all the way to the end of the line. Now, we're going to type the word available. And then we hit the enter key. Number 3 says type open March through October and press the enter key. Number 4 says type all vehicles and gear provided and press the enter key. Number 5 says type the signature line in the flyer. Now the signature line for the flyer is the very bottom line, and it normally has the contact information for the flyer or for the person who wrote the flyer. So in this case, we're going to write or type to book your adventure, comma, call 555-8928, exclamation point, and hit save. I'm using Control S because it's quick and easy. And every time in the book it says requested by your instructor, I'm not requesting it. So just skip that. Do exactly what the book says. I don't want y'all having to guess what is going on. Okay, now to save a document on page WD13, this is where the book actually teaches you to save. We have already saved this. You always want to start saving first. Always save first, save often. Better safe than sorry. Save. So, since we've already saved, you can either click on the quick save button that's above your ribbons, or you can hit Control S. Now, turning the page. On page 15. Now you might have noticed I'm not reading all the information. This book is full of so much information, and it is so good. I highly recommend that you take the time to read everything in the book. The BTWs, they're over in the side margins. Those always have excellent information that most people don't think about, and the Q&As are awesome for anytime you have a question. They usually answer that question before you have the time to really stress about it. So before you start stressing, make sure you read the Q&A in whatever you are working on. It is very wise to read this book. I know some computer books can be kind of boring and doesn't feel like it's worth reading it, this book is excellent. In fact, I would recommend that this is one of the books that you keep and take with you to every job you have, because if you forget how to do something, it's really good about explaining how to do it, and it's very easy to find whatever it is that you've forgotten how to do. So hang on to this book, read this book, highlight whatever it takes to understand the material in here. The people who read the book and do all the work and do the practice exams in SAM before they actually take the exams, those are the people who make the best grades. So read the book, read the book, read the book. Alright, so on page 15 we are going to center the paragraph. So the first thing we want to do is click home on the ribbons. So that changes all our options on the home tab, and it wants us to click somewhere in the paragraph to be centered, which is the adventure paragraph. Now a paragraph can be one word like it is here, or it can be several words like it is in the Explore Scenic Trails. Anytime there's a backwards P, because we have our show hide character showing, correct? If there's a backwards P, that is considered a paragraph. So this is your first paragraph and you're clicking in the adventure. Now to center, you do not have a paragraph. You do not have to highlight the whole paragraph. Anytime you're doing something in the paragraph section, all you have to do is be in the paragraph, because whatever you do is going to affect the entire paragraph. Alright? If we were going to change the font, then you would need to highlight whatever you want to change so that the computer would know which letter or letters or whatever that you need to change. So since this is a paragraph that we are going to change, you just have to click in the paragraph one time. Now we want to click on the center button in the paragraph bank. So the center button is to the right of the left align button. We click one time and the word adventure is in the center of our page, horizontally, not a vertical, horizontal. Now at the bottom of the page we're going to center another paragraph, and we want to center the signature line. So remember I told you that's the last line in this flyer. So go down to the last line where it says to book your adventure call. Click there just one time, and then it has us turn in the page, and we want to center that also. So click on the center button, and now that is in the center. On page 16 they want us to select an entire line. So since we're using a mouse, we're going to move the pointer to the left of the line of the headline. So the headline is the word adventure. So when you're right next to it, you have the I-beam. As you slide out to the left, it's going to turn into a pointing arrow, and there. So as soon as you get to the outside margin, it goes to a pointing arrow. When you do this, you can click one time and it selects the entire word. So this is adventure, and it selected this whole line, and this is all we're going to change. Now on page 17 we're going to change the font size of the word adventure. So we want to click on the home tab, make sure your home tab is out, and then you want to click on the font size arrow. The font size arrow is in the second bank of icons in the font section. You have the very top left is the font style, and to the right of that is your font size. In this case they want us to change the font size to 72. So you can do two things. You can click on the down arrow and scroll down to the 72, click one time and let go, and that changes. Notice how it shows you how big it was going to be before. You can also click in the box itself and just type the number 72. if that's easier for you. Both ways work just fine, and it's wise to know both ways. Okay, then we are going to turn the page on page 18 to change the font of the selected text. We're going to make sure that the adventure text is still selected, and then we are going to go to our font style or our font, and you can click on the down arrow there, and we will choose Berlin Sans FB Demi. Now, if you want to find it a little faster, when you click on that down arrow, it automatically highlights the word Calibri, which is the default. You can type the B, and it automatically jumps to, for me, it jumps straight to Berlin Sans FB because it's a recently used font for me. Now, if for you it had been a font further down, it would have jumped to the first grouping of B's, so you could find a little bit easier, and you could even just start typing the entire word. Okay, so you can type the word or you can scroll down, but if you type the B, it just makes it so much easier to find it very quickly. Alright, so make sure that you have Berlin Sans FB Demi, and then do a quick save since we've made a change. And on page 19 says to change the case of selected text. With the text selected, click the change case button. So the change case button is in the font bank in the home ribbon, and to the right of the font size and the grow and shrink. And the next one is change case, and you get to choose between sentence case, which makes the first letter capitalized, lowercase, which all of it is small, upper makes it all caps, capitalize each word, and toggle, that's when you've accidentally left on your caps lock and you forgot. And that has saved my life many times, but we're going to choose uppercase this time. So the whole thing is in all caps or uppercase. Turn the page on page 20 to apply a text effect to selected text. Number 1, with the text selected, which is still adventure, we want to click the text effects and typography button, which is on our home tab and our font group, and then we're going to click on the text effects. And that's the A with the fuzzy outline, text effects and typography. Click on that, and then you get all kinds of cool options. And we want to choose fill white outline, accent 1, glow accent 1. Fill white outline accent 1, glow accent 1. You must choose the correct thing, because if you don't, it will be wrong. Number 3 says to actually select it, and then number 4 says to click out to deselect that text. Now on page 21, we want to shade a paragraph. So number 1 says click within our headline, which is adventure, so you should have your cursor somewhere in there. It doesn't matter, since we are using the paragraph, it's going to format the whole paragraph. And it wants us to click on the shading arrow, which is in the home tab, paragraph group, and it looks like a paint bucket. It's called shading. Click on the shading arrow, and it'll show your gallery. The top half is theme, the bottom section is standard, then you have no color and more colors. In this case, we want to choose the green accent 6, and notice that it says to choose darker 25%. That is the rightmost color in the 5th row, and darker 25%, you will slide down, and notice that it has call outs that tell you what you're on. That one's darker 50%, So I want to go up, and so the second to the last one in the green accent 6 column is the one that you want to choose. So we're going to click on that, and now we have a dark green section over our adventure. On page 22 it says scroll if necessary, so that all the text below the headline is displayed. So we're going to grab our vertical scroll bar on the left hand side of the page so that we can see everything. And then we want to select all of the text that is not the title. So from Explore Scenic Trails all the way down to the last part of the phone number, or to the end of the document. We want to select all of the text in this section right here, so everything in between the two centered parts, from Explore Scenic Trails down to all vehicles and gear provided. Then we want to change the font size of that text, and so we are going to make sure we are in the Home tab, the Font section, and then choose a font size and change it to size 24. And that makes it a whole lot bigger. Then we're going to click anywhere to deselect our text. And then you want to scroll down so that you can see all the stuff that we just resized. And now we want to add a bulleted list. So the first thing we want to do is select these from self-guided tours. So remember, we can slide out to the left, grab and drag down. So self-guided tours, open, and all vehicles is all selected. And then we want to choose the bullets. So if you go to the Home tab, Paragraph, Book, Group, and then click on the bullets, and that creates a bulleted list. Very nice. Go ahead and hit save just real quick, because that's always smart. And then number 1, it wants to show you how to undo and redo an action. So if you slide up to your Quick Access Toolbar, which is up above your ribbons, you see, and is also the place I showed you to save earlier, you see a blue arrow that flips to the left, and that is the Undo Bullet Default, or Control Z on your keyboard. If you hit that arrow one time, it will undo, and so now your bullets are gone. But if you look to the right of that undo bullet, you'll see that now that you've used the undo, you now have a redo, and you can click on the redo bullet default, and it puts the bullets back. So we have an undo button and a redo button. Okay, now on page 25 we want to italicize some text. The text we want to italicize is the word breathtaking in the paragraph that has Explore Scenic Trails with breathtaking. Now you can click and drag the word breathtaking, or you can click 2 times fast or double click, and that selects the whole word. And notice that when you select something in Office, that you come up with a small floating menu. And so it makes it very easy for us to do some basic formatting things here. And in this case, we want to choose the I for italics. Now, you can also come back up here to your Home tab, Font Group, and click on the I there. Both ways work perfectly well, and whatever makes you happy is what you want to do. Now, with the word breathtaking, we still selected, we want to change the font color. So once again, we are in the Home tab, Font Group, and now we'll slide to the very last icon in the font group is Font Color. So click on Font Color, and we want to choose the orange accent 2 darker 25%, and it should be the 6th color in the 5th row. So we want orange, accent 2, darker 25%, and double click, make sure that that is what you have, and then select it, and it changes your text to a beautiful strange orange. Okay, now the next thing we want to do on page 27, they're going to have us use the mini toolbar, the floating toolbar I told you about earlier. You want to select your very last line in the document to book your adventure. So click to the outside left of that to select the whole thing. Now, we have our mini toolbar, or our floating toolbar, and they want us to use that this time to choose to make some changes. We're going to change the font size to 28. So notice that on our mini toolbar that we have our font and our font size. We're going to click on that and change that to 28. Then we're going to turn the page. On page 28, we are going to make sure that the text is still selected, and we want to choose to change the font to orange, accent 2, darker 25%. Now, notice that we still have our mini toolbar here, so that's great. And also I want to show you a shortcut. Notice that the last color that we have chosen is the one that is still selected. So you could technically just click on this A or font color icon and it would change your font to the right color. But we're going to follow the book, and the book says to click on the down arrow, and then it says to click on orange, accent 2, darker 25%, which you can see that it is still the one that is selected because that was the last thing you did. So that is a great shortcut. If you change it once and haven't changed it again and want to use the same color, all you have to do is click on the font color button. You don't have to go select it again. Now we're going to select a group of words. So the double click won't work this time. If we double clicked on the 555, notice that it just does the 555, and we want the whole phone number. So we're going to click with our left mouse button in front of the first 5 and drag out to the 8, the last 8 in the phone number, then we're going to let go. Okay? Then we are going to underline that text. So we have our mini toolbar, so we'll slide to the U or the underline in the mini toolbar and click on that. And that is awesome. Next, on page 29, we're going to bold some text. So we're going to click off the phone number because that is not what we're going to bold. And in the Explore Scenic Trails paragraph, we are going to bold the words off-road. So once again, you're going to have to click and drag to select the words. You get the mini toolbar, so click on the B for bold, and that will automatically bold that. Then click off of it and do a quick save. And we now have a interesting flyer, and so you can see what you've done. On page 30 at the bottom it says to zoom to one page. Now we have zoomed once before, so we're going to click on the view ribbon. In the zoom bank, they want us to zoom out to display the entire page. So you're going to click on one page, and now we can see the whole thing. And it looks a little strange since it's all at the top, but I am sure they're going to make a change to that soon. Okay, on page 31, we're going to change the theme colors and the themes of the document. So the first thing we want to do is click on the design ribbon, and you see several options there. Then we want to click on the theme colors, and that is inside of the document formatting group. Theme colors is all the way to the right in the group, and you want to make sure you're choosing colors, not the theme. So click on the down arrow on the colors button, and you want to choose green in the theme colors gallery. So we're going to slide down till we get to green and then click on that. And notice that it changes the colors for us. And then we want to zoom to page width. So we will once again click on our view ribbon. And we want to choose the page width button in our zoom bank. And we're zoomed out. Notice that it changed everything that we had as orange into a beautiful green. And what we had as green is now blue. Pretty cool. Hit save. And according to the book, this is a great time to take a break. See you in a second.